Today, I'm going out on this Indonesian sailing boat. It's a traditionally built vessel, no engine, just sails, and we're going out to give it a crack. So this is Anugerah Ilahi. She is a traditionally made boat built not far from Makassar where we are now. Actually, I made a video about this boat building area called Tanah Biru. You can check it out here. Horst, a German engineer and marine historian, built this beautiful vessel, but I'll let him tell you all about that later. First, we need to get moving. On a boat like this, there is a fair bit of preparation involved. The crew first has a little team meeting to discuss everyone's role and some safety stuff. Then we get into it. Pak Hale and Suding are the permanent crew, both very experienced Sulawesi ocean men. First job is to get the two rudders into position. There is one on either side in the stern of the ship. They do the steering, but also act as dagger boards.
Yeah. Oh. Oh. Ah. Ah. Doda. Doda. Doda.
Then the sails. There are 8 sails flying on this boat. First the jib goes up and is back-winded. Then we sort of reverse off the mooring buoy, get the boat turned around off the wind. Then the other sails go up one by one. All the sails are on blocks and there are no winches. The sails get hoisted by hand, tensioned using belaying pins, and then locked off with figure eights.
Sudah belum?
Leaving a busy commercial harbour where all the other vessels are under power and you are under sail only is a stressful undertaking. So many things need to be taken into consideration: wind, current, traffic, reef and other obstacles. Horst and his crew handled it well, and within 30 minutes we found ourselves outside the rock walls and in the ocean.
So, Horst, how old is this boat?
Yeah, we built this boat 2 years ago.
It was built for a documentation project for the British Museum. This is a replica of early 20th century Pelari. They were called a Pelari because of the hull form. It uses what people call a pinisi, the pinisi rig, but the original one, not the one they use now, except for the flying jib, which I like it. I like the flying jib. It really makes a lot of speed. And we built it after photos from the early 20th century, first half of 20th century or so, trying to follow the photos as far as we could. The deck layout is a little tricky because there is no photos of deck layout. And then we thought we might take along people, so the cargo space became kind of a small cabin thing. The boat building became World Heritage in 2017 or so. And it became World Heritage because there is a plan. The plan is a little different than what we know. It's a plan of how the planks would be put together. So in that plan, each plank has a special position and a special length and a special place, a special form. It's called tata, the cut of the ship. They wouldn't do that for the modern ships, the square-sterned modern motorboats. But for one of these, yeah, still. And as this was built for the museum, we used that plan. We used a 3 times cut. It's called the tatatalu, which is for smaller ships like this one. All these ships were traders. They are for trading. And the size of this seems a little small, but we have photos from the 1920s, 30s, where there's even smaller ones with a 2-masted rig. I'm surprised why they did that, very probably to get down sails easily. We could carry on this ship, I believe, if we'd just be loading her, something like perhaps 5-7 tons of cargo. If we are really brave, we can put in 10 tons, I believe, but then deck would be afloat. The ship is between stems, something like 10.5 meters. Depends on where you want to measure on what height of the stem, you know. All over, I guess we are something between 16 and 17, including the overhanging aft deck and the bowsprit. 16, 17 meters, something. The masts are, I forgot, something 14 meters high, the main mast. Width is 1 to 3, so we are 3.5 meters up. We don't know the weight of the timber, one could count that, yes, but then we put in a lot of ballast. We have something like between 3 and 4 tons of ballast in there, stones and scrap iron. The ship was built in Tanaberu, where now the main boat building center is. It took us, we should have started actually in November or so, December, and then someone came along, wanted a ship like this for a museum. We built that one first, took it to a museum, assembled it in a museum again. And then we started for good in March, April, May. Then, because it became too big for the budget which was there, we ran out of money and could only finish her in December. We launched her in November. We did all the ceremonies and whatever they would be. And we asked the people to do them as they'd like them. I have been studying this stuff since the late 80s, so I know quite a lot about it. I could push them for some things, but for most of it, as long as they would do it, yes, we had them doing it like they wanted it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a documentation project for them. It's not for us. So it should be something for the people, being like the people want. The crew is from Bira because not only the boat building, but just the same, the sailing traditions of the people of Bira became World Heritage. And that hasn't been researched until now. So one idea of the ship is to give people the chance to research it. But the generation we have now, the oldest sailors, may have started on sailing vessels, but they then all switched over to motorized sailors and then to motor vessels. So real sailors without engine, there's left only 2 or 3. Yeah. There's some other guys who know, because they were sailing on sailing vessels. There's one guy who's really clever. I like him very much, but he wouldn't come along because he sank on a ship twice. And so he doesn't like it anymore. The other guys all said, oh, women, no, they don't want it, no engine, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But and there's one old captain still alive, the guy who sailed with the Blair brothers in the 1970s. He's still alive, the guy of that boat. Then there's my older brother who knows how to handle these ships. And then there's me, who learned it in the 80s with an old captain. The future of this ship, yeah, who knows? I have no idea. I wonder what we're going to do. Actually, the ship should go in a museum. It's a little small for what it should be doing. It's a proper thing for a museum, but then there is not many museums here who want to take it. We had several offers, but people declined again, and funny. It's their world heritage, Indonesian world heritage, and I wonder why people don't care so much about it. You know? Having it in your hand, and here we are. All this should be preserved. That's why it became world heritage. Now, sailing with sails is something people don't do anymore, and I can understand them. You know, I was sailing boats without engines for decades, so to say, and if there's no wind, it's shit. If the wind is too strong, it's shit. How many times would I have liked to have an engine? But then having an engine, people wouldn't use their sailing skills anymore, and that's a problem. But then, on the other hand, no one ever using sails only anymore. Then, what can be preserved, you know? Yeah. So that's why we don't have an engine, and it should be like whatever. But until now, we had no problems with sailing only. I learned this in the 80s with an old captain who had been sailing all his life on ships without engines. And I learned it well enough to know how to do it. It's a question of thinking of where you want to go, seeing the wind, and if you can't go there, you better don't do it. You don't go into a situation where you might get stopped by whatever, reefs or da. So that's it. You've got to be careful. We didn't run yet into a real storm once only, and there was no wave, so it was easy just to run her off without sails. Last year twice we couldn't reach the island we were going for, so we went for another island, because we can change things. What we did last year with the ship was taking books, kind of floating library to islands for the children. And so we picked our islands where we'd go, and then get the books on shore and get the children coming for a day. They can draw stuff there, they can read the books and whatever, then go to the next island the next day. And there, as I said, twice we didn't reach the islands we wanted to go to. But there's a lot of islands out here, so there was no problem to go to another island.
So in a quiet moment, I asked Pak Hale a few questions. Well, like many Indonesian seamen, he's a man of few words, but I got a bit of info out of him.
70. Yeah.
He's 70 years old, roughly. And when asked when did he stop sailing, he said that motorboats introduced around 1970, 1973, sometime like that, and then the sailing just died out. Pak Hale has 3 sons. All of them drive tugs, are captains, drive tugs in the coal barges and things like that. None of them have any interest in sailing vessels. That is old school. Pak Hale is proud though to still be sailing, to have this restored ship. He thinks it's important to keep these traditions alive. Our plan had been to sail out 5 miles with the morning breeze and tide, then turn around and head back in after lunch when the current turned. It was all going to plan until it wasn't, and then we realised that we were going sideways faster than we were going forwards.
You have to go downwind. Yeah. We won't make it.
Normally in this situation you just turn on the engine and get to where you want to go. But on this boat, well, that's not going to happen. After a quick discussion, it was decided by Horst that we'd have to give up on getting back to where we started from and find a new safe anchorage somewhere else. Such is life when you're playing with nature. You remain flexible and stay safe. Tacking and jibing a boat like this involves some planning and quick hands. Coming in between the reefs and finding a spot where you hope the anchor will hold takes real skill, timing and possibly some luck also. All the sails were dropped and stowed and we drifted in slow and steady under jib alone. Suiting on the halyard, ready to drop the sail, and Pak Hale readies the anchor. You only get one chance when you don't have an engine. Anchors away. Holding your breath, then yes, you feel the anchor bite and the boat swings around into the wind and we are safe. I'd like to thank Horst, his crew, Pak Hale and Suiting for the lovely day out. It was very educational. Also at this moment, got to give a massive shout out and love to all our patrons and people on PayPal who support the making of these videos. Couldn't and wouldn't be doing this all without you. We'll see you next week. Thank you again. Bye bye.